Bentrovati a Coffee Break Italian.
Welcome to the Coffee Break Italian Show. Io sono Francesca.
E io sono Maurizio.
So, in these weekly episodes, we help you learn Italian in the space of a coffee break.
Exactly. And if you like our show, you can subscribe to the podcast feed wherever you're listening from on whichever platform you're using. Or if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube.
Allora, Maurizio, qual è l'argomento di oggi?
Oggi parliamo di articoli. We're going to talk about articles,
Ok.
specifically un and un with the apostrophe.
Okay, so indefinite articles focusing on the difference between un and un with the apostrophe.
Exactly. Siamo
Allora,
pronti?
siamo pronti? Sì.
Iniziamo. As you were saying, Francesca, un and un with the apostrophe are indefinite articles. Indefinite articles basically identify one singular object, like a dog or...
An apple.
Perfect.
Okay.
So when we want to say a dog or an apple, in Italian, we're going to use un or un with the apostrophe or other ones, which we're going to get into in this episode.
Sì.
So I would say that these are easily mistaken
Mhm.
because they're pronounced in the same way.
Sì, exactly. So we have the apostrophe, but the pronunciation in spoken Italian is identical, whether you have un or un with the apostrophe.
And that's we say with the apostrophe to make sure that you understand that there is the apostrophe there. Otherwise, they are pronounced un, both of them.
I must say, this is a mistake that also native speakers like us at times make. So don't worry if this has happened before to you. We're here to explain how to get this right.
So it's a difference that you will see more in written Italian because, as we were saying, un is pronounced the same whether it has an apostrophe or not. So why don't we start with un without the apostrophe?
So the masculine form of the indefinite article.
Perfect.
Okay. So we can say that we use un to accompany masculine singular nouns in Italian. And let's think of some examples, Maurizio.
Yep. So in our notes, we have, for example, un fratello.
A brother.
Yeah. Un fratello. Or we also have un problema.
Okay, un problema, so a problem. This is actually quite interesting, Maurizio.
Yep.
Problema looks like a feminine noun because it ends in a. So why are we using the masculine indefinite article here?
Because problema comes from ancient Greek, I think. We talked about this in season 1 of the show.
Vero.
Yes, and despite ending in a is a masculine noun. So we say un problema, a problem.
Molto bene.
Yep.
Questo è sempre utile. Let's see some more examples.
We could also think of a masculine noun starting with a vowel.
Okay.
For example, amico.
Amico, sì.
So to say a friend, one friend, we would say un amico.
Un amico, and no apostrophe because
Yes.
amico is a masculine singular noun.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, we should also say that un is not the only masculine indefinite articles that we can find in Italian, right?
È vero. As you probably already know, there is another masculine singular indefinite article, which is uno. And this is the indefinite article which we use in front of masculine singular nouns, beginning with what we call like tricky combination of sounds. For example,
uno studente.
Sì, so S plus a consonant.
Yep. Or uno zaino.
Uno zaino, so we have the sound z, which is one of those letters, sounds requiring uno.
That we consider tricky. So uno zaino is a backpack.
Sì, sì, sì. And also other combinations like GN, PS, Y, but this is not the topic of today's video.
Yeah, and you'll find all the combinations mentioned in our blog post, and the link to this blog post, you will find it in the description of this video, so check it out after watching this episode.
Sì, molto importante, non dimenticate. Ma passiamo al femminile, Maurizio.
Okay.
Let's now talk about the indefinite article un with the apostrophe, which we use with some feminine singular nouns.
Yes, so we might need to explain why we have an apostrophe there.
Sì.
So normally we would have the indefinite article una for feminine nouns, right?
Ad esempio, una casa.
Yes, or for example, una ragazza.
So, una casa, a house,
Yep.
una ragazza, a girl,
Yes.
una mela, which we mentioned before.
An apple.
Sì.
So as you can see, let's say the article we use, the indefinite article we use with most feminine nouns is una. But what happens when this feminine noun starts with a vowel? Because of the clash between una, the a at the end of una, and the vowel that the feminine noun starts with, one of the two vowels has to go. And the one that goes is the one at the end of una.
Sì.
Right?
Because it would be too difficult if we take, for example, the word amica, a female friend.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to say una amica, that doesn't flow really well,
Not really
does it?
To an Italian ear. Maybe to you it would flow, but to an Italian ear, that doesn't flow. So what happens?
So in order to allow for a more fluent conversation, it's easier to drop the a of una and put the tiny little apostrophe there to indicate that the letter a has been dropped. And in this way, it's easier to pronounce un'amica.
Exactly. Now I'm laughing because we have a little trick to remember why the apostrophe is there.
Shall we say it?
Shall we say? I think we should
let's
say
just
it.
say it.
So, for example, we say that the apostrophe is the tear that we cry because of the departure of the a in una.
We are really sad because we are losing a letter, which is really important. So to show that we are sad, we are adding the tiny little apostrophe, which is a tear, basically.
So hopefully this is a good way to remember this. It's a bit cheesy, we know that.
But it's useful.
Maybe it's useful. Right. So we have given the examples of un'amica, so un apostrophe amica. Let's think of another option here, another example.
Let's think of another word beginning with un ape.
Oh, yeah. So a bee, un ape. So again, un apostrophe ape. Ape is a feminine noun in Italian, and it means bee, the little insect that makes honey. Or we can think of, for example, a noun that ends in zione that we know is an ending that indicates that the noun is feminine. So, for example, emozione, emotion. An emotion in Italian is un'emozione. So again, un'emozione, un apostrophe emozione.
Perfetto, sì, which is easier to pronounce as opposed to una emozione.
Yeah.
And the same with words beginning with the letter I, English I, isola.
Yeah, so in that case, it's un'isola.
An island.
Yes.
Okay.
Or something that starts with O, for example, ombra, right? So ombra is the shadow or the shade.
Or shadow,
So in that case, we say un'ombra. Again, un apostrophe ombra sounds much easier to say un'ombra than una ombra.
Sì, I hope you can all hear this tiny difference, which really makes the language nicer, more pleasant to the ear. And finally, do you know how to say nail?
So nail in Italian is unghia. Unghia. Not very pleasant noun, I think. I don't like the sound of it, but a nail is un'unghia. And again, we're using un apostrophe unghia. Un'unghia.
Molto interessante.
Benissimo.
Sì.
So, we need to remember that un with the apostrophe is used with singular feminine nouns starting with a vowel. So this means that un with the apostrophe is never used with masculine nouns.
Esatto. So it's really important if you see a masculine noun beginning with a vowel, like amico, which we mentioned before, you really have to resist that temptation of having an apostrophe. And remember, masculine nouns, they never go with un apostrophe.
Exactly. Perfect.
So shall we practice this a little bit more?
Yes. Right. So we have a little list of words here, and we're gonna give them to you, and you decide whether you want to use the un with the apostrophe or the simple un without the apostrophe.
Ok,
Ok.
cominciamo. Ho una parola per
Vai.
iniziare.
Ok.
La parola è azione.
Okay, so we have the word azione. Azione means action. Okay. Azione. So it ends in the same way that emozione
Mhm.
ends.
Well spotted.
So in this case, we can be sure that azione is a feminine noun. If you're not sure, you can always check with the dictionary. So because it's a feminine noun and it starts with a vowel, we will say un apostrophe azione. Un'azione.
Perfetto, molto bene.
Okay, my turn now.
Ok.
What about the word attore? Attore.
Attore,
Mhm.
so an actor, and in Italian we know it's also a male actor because we have the difference between attore and attrice.
Yep.
So in this case, it's already a hint, it's a male actor. And even if the word ends in e, maybe you remember that usually words ending in ore are masculine
Yep.
words like
Yep.
scrittore, dottore, and so on. So even if begins with the vowel a or the English a, this word is masculine, so we don't need the apostrophe. Un attore, no apostrophe.
Perfect.
Ok, andiamo avanti
Sì.
con la parola uovo.
Uovo.
Uovo, interessante anche da pronunciare, vero?
Uovo. So uovo means egg.
Sì, molto
Okay.
bene.
And it ends with an o. So I am tempted to say that this is a masculine noun.
Mhm.
And therefore, I'm not going to put the apostrophe there. So
And
I'm
you're
going to say
absolutely right.
un uovo, an egg, no apostrophe needed.
Molto bene, Maurizio, che bravo.
Okay, I'll go with the next word.
Okay.
I'm choosing an animal.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk about oca.
Oca,
Oca.
a goose.
Yes.
Okay, so it ends in a, so we know it's feminine, and it begins with a vowel. So can we say una oca?
We could, but it doesn't sound right.
No. So what can we do to improve the pronunciation? As you know, we can say un, write the apostrophe, and pronounce the two words together. Un'oca, a goose.
Un'oca. And again, remember the apostrophe is the tear that we are shedding for the
Sì, for
departure of
losing.
a in una. So
Che
un'oca.
triste. Okay, the last two words we have chosen are really interesting because they're similar,
Yep.
but also different. So
Yep.
let's see why.
Okay.
So the word I have for you, Maurizio, is arancia.
Okay, so this is the first word. And the second word is?
The other word is arancio.
Okay, so we have arancia
Mhm.
and arancio, right? One letter difference basically
What is the
there.
difference between these two words?
Right, so arancia is the fruit, the orange, right? Arancia. The arancio instead is the orange tree.
Mhm.
So we notice this thing a lot with fruits and trees. So for example, we talked about mela before.
Sì.
So mela is the apple, but melo is the apple tree. So it's a pattern that we can see in many
With many
fruits and trees.
Interessante,
Yeah.
very useful.
So in this case, arancia, we know that it's feminine because it ends in a. So we're going to say un'arancia with the apostrophe there,
Mhm.
un'arancia. But for orange tree, arancio,
Sì.
we are not going to use the apostrophe and just say un arancio.
Perfetto,
Right?
perfetto. I think this is really a useful example to show how a tiny little letter can make the difference in terms of the gender of the nouns and how this affects the choice of the indefinite articles in Italian.
Great. So hopefully that was useful to know the difference between un and
Sì.
un with the apostrophe. Great. I think that's everything for today.
Yes, I think so.
We hope you enjoyed this lesson about un and un with the apostrophe.
And if you want to practice this grammar point even more, you can find all these examples and more information written down in our blog post. So just check the link in the description.
And if you'd like more help with your Italian, remember you can sign up to our mailing list by visiting coffeebreaklanguages.com/Italian to receive regular free email lessons.
So look out for the next mini lesson straight in your inbox.
And look out for our next episode here at the Coffee Break Italian show. All right. We'll see you in the next episode, quindi a presto e...
Come sempre, happy coffee breaking!
Ciao!
You have been listening to a Coffee Break Languages production for the Radiolingua Network. Copyright 2024 Radiolingua Limited. Recording copyright 2024 Radiolingua Limited. All rights reserved.